we can probably go ahead and get started. If anyone else joins, we'll just loop them in. So we did have a guest speaker scheduled for this evening, Professor John Kelly, but it turned out that he could not make it. So it's just us this evening. So it'll just be the usual coffee and EVs and any news items or any issues. I don't see any new folks to introduce. Rick, I saw it looked like you had invited someone from was it a Toyota dealership?
Yeah, I saw Marty's post, so I drove on down there. I said, is this the one at Moses? He said, no, we got a white one right outside the door. Very nice man. Met him. His name is Drew McDaniel. And he said, we did not order this. It just suddenly showed up. We had no idea. We've had no training whatsoever. It's got 6 miles on it and it's sitting out there to sell, but nobody knows anything about him. So we talked for about half an hour. And then I said, come to the coffee and EVs and just learn a little bit more. So I gave him the link, and hopefully he was going to come. And then I saw Fleckenstein this morning. He just got his new Tesla last Friday, his Model Y. And so he thought he was going to come tonight also, but he didn't.
Okay. Well, and I think I saw Scott at the expo this past Thursday. I don't know if anyone else was over at the WVEAA Expo at the Civic Center, but I did the dog and pony similar to last year. Perry was there from DOT. His presentation was largely the same as last year. He did say they were in the middle of, I guess, putting out a procurement, so he really couldn't say a whole lot about what's going on. So no news or updates that he could share or time frames on the NEVI stuff, other than I guess they're in the process of doing a procurement.
So the last time I talked to Kelly, she said that they decided to use the Volkswagen money, the 5% of the Volkswagen money, to put in stations in Huntington and Beckley. And she didn't know if that was going to be at Tamarack. And she said she was pushing them to put the Huntington one out on some state land near the interstate. Did he at all address that subject?
No.
If they do that with the Volkswagen money, they don't necessarily have to follow the NEVI guidelines of having it be 150 kilowatts and 4 channels and able to run simultaneously and with the 95% availability, on time,
Right.
It's
right.
all
and
95%.
And I don't know when you talked to Kelly, Marty, but I'd also had a brief conversation. I don't know, it's probably been 2 or 3 weeks ago. And she also mentioned the Volkswagen money, but the way I understood it, and maybe I misunderstood, was that they were offering that money to WVU and Marshall to put in charging, and it was going to be more like level 2 stuff, and or maybe a slow fast charger,
Okay, you might be right.
And so it was going to be more like Morgantown and Huntington, but going to the schools primarily. And I put in my 2 cents about if you really want to make this more publicly available, of course you need to make sure if it's going to be fast chargers, they should be closer to the interstate. If they're going to be level 2s, then sure, yeah, put them on campus and campus parking lots. That'll be great. At least WVU will finally have something if you have an EV and want to park and charge. But it was $600,000, and they're looking at that 1.2 million per fast charging station is what they're using for the NEVI money.
So I've been following supercharge.info for years now, and it appears that Tesla has upped their game, and we've seen a step change in the rate that they're planning for more superchargers. So all those Tesla drivers may enjoy that. They actually hit a new record of 401 stations in the pipeline to be started up at a later date. Either having submitted a permit or having started construction. That was a new record number. And a year ago, it was more in the low 300s, 330, around 330. So maybe a 25% increase in the rate that they're installing superchargers. That's pretty useful.
Also noticed, Marty, that they've updated their site. The filtering has gotten more powerful. Like before, you couldn't drill down and just say, "Show me all the chargers in a specific state."
Right.
But now you can.
Yeah, they have a new manager. The original guy that started dropped out a long time ago. His screen name was Blue Shift, and there's a couple new guys are running the software now.
Yeah, I was noticing that the Lewisburg, they've got it on the map now, is under construction. And then there's this new one going in here on 68 or near 68, McHenry. That's near that Deep Creek Lake area. And then they're putting a second one in Cumberland. So we're going to have two in Cumberland.
Different exit.
Yeah, different exit, yeah.
Just like Morgantown. So different.
Just like Morgantown.
And Wheeling. Wheeling and Morgantown are in different exits too, aren't they?
Well, actually, the Wheeling one is on the same exit, just different sides of the interstate. Morgantown is two separate exits.
Yeah, so, I point out.
Most of you probably saw that I stopped at the one in Lewisburg. It, in all appearances, looks like could be turned on any minute. So I don't know what's holding it up.
But yeah,
there was an interesting story in Baker, California about superchargers. My last supercharger story. Apparently, the Baker, California Christmas and New Year's and weekends gets really, really crowded. And so for Christmas and New Year's, they brought in 2 megapacks on trailers and set up V3 chargers, not instead of the urban chargers on the megapacks. And a couple of days after New Year's, one of the megapacks burnt down and burnt about 20 supercharger stalls out as well and made quite a mess. So they've fixed those and they've started construction. There were 40 stalls in Baker, California, and they fixed that, and they've since announced they're putting in 56 more stalls. So that'll be a total of 96 stalls at that one supercharger station.
And I guess everybody saw the V4s already.
Yeah.
I have not, but that's a sharp-looking design they've come up with there.
Where's that at? What location are you showing?
This is in Europe. This was the first supercharger V4 installation. And the primary difference, of course, they look different visually, but they're taller, and the cable mounts on the side and is longer. And the stalls are mounted they're not off to the side of the parking spots any longer. They're right in the middle of the parking spots, so that it will be more compatible with other vehicles. I don't know if there's another. Let me see if we got any other pictures here.
Yeah, the Rivian would probably reach it.
And so the Rivian won't have to change the side that they put their hinge on.
Yeah. So there's a better picture of it. You can see it. And so for a Tesla, the cable comes around and plugs in the back, and then of course it's on this other side, and so it can reach like vehicles like the Bolt or F-150 would have more cable length. I think the cable ends up being effectively, is it like 2 or 3 feet longer? I think something like that.
And are they like the newer here in this country liquid cooled lines?
Yeah. And these, I don't know if you saw the power output on these suckers. There was a data plate somebody took a picture of. But anyway, yeah, they're 1,000 volt and 615 amps. So, I mean, the nameplate on the stalls is 615 kilowatts.
600 kW.
Yeah, per stall. I mean, that's nameplate rating. I don't know what that will actually mean in real life, what it will put out. But
Wow.
I'd say the limitation might be the power company.
Yeah, and I guess the equipment that they've got behind it, transformers and all that stuff. But it seems like the stalls and the cables and the whole all that stuff is rated for really super duty power.
And there was some talk about being a megawatt.
Well, there was some confusion about that because the Tesla, the semis are using the megawatt chargers, and they were calling those V4, but I don't know if they're the exact same thing as the V4 superchargers that the vehicles will use.
I think they were bigger.
I think the semi mega chargers are a little different. They may look similar, and they do look similar from the pictures, but they may actually be a little different.
And somebody got a picture of it with the cover off, and that entire box is full of power electronics. So,
but I mean, they are 1,000 volt. So now vehicles that are 800 volt architecture, like the Ioniq and the EV6, and the 900 volt architecture in the Lucid, and now the 1,000 volt architecture that's going to be in the Cybertruck and the Semi. I mean, this stall can pretty much do it all. But yeah, that's going to be. I prefer the design of the existing ones a little better. I think they stand out a little more, and they have the more red, and they're lit up a little more at night. But it is what it is, and the Tesla logo is lit up at night. I've seen a picture with that lit up.
Well, they probably needed that open face and the ones that have the hollow for all that electronics.
For all the electronics, yeah.
So I understand. I also understand Tesla ran into some problems with the NEVI in California, because California added an additional requirement that they have every stall have digital output showing the how fast you're charging and all that kind of stuff, and that it accept a credit card reader, and yep. Tesla declined to do that.
Yeah, they turned down several $1 million in NEVI funding.
Hundreds of millions, perhaps.
Well, in just the two or three stations they were talking about, I think they said it was like $6 million or something like that.
Huh.
Tesla has their own way of doing things, that's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, just to add to what you're saying about the design there, Robert, I agree. Yeah, the existing ones I think look good too, but it seems like the plugs are a little more weather protected, I guess, with the existing infrastructure. It's probably not a notable difference, but
how are they going to put the Magic Dock adapter on that new one? And the way it is now, up inside, you press the handle up. If you logged in and told them what charger and you're not a Tesla, then when you pull it down, it's the Magic Dock comes with you. But it doesn't look like on those new ones. I mean, I know they do, but it's just going to be on the side of it, right?
Well, I assume it'll be on the side, but in Europe, of course, it's not a big deal because those were in Europe, and so Tesla uses CCS2 in Europe. So all the vehicles in Europe use CCS2, so it's the same plug. They didn't have to worry about it in Europe.
Yeah, I was hoping to hear or gain a little knowledge on the Magic Dock developments. I know you guys follow that much more closely than I am, but I hear it seems like they're Marty. I'm sure you've kept up with it too. How many do we have out there now?
Well, there's 11 stations.
11
Magic Docks. So only in California and New York.
Yeah.
And everything I've seen so far has been a real royal foul up with some people taking up 3 stalls, and because the cables aren't long enough. So if they're really going to do this, they need to do something along the lines of charge point and have the big tower with the long 20-foot long cable and the retractable cord and all that stuff, which really adds to the cost. And so I don't know if this Magic Dock test is going to be successful or not. You know, they actually went through a couple iterations of liquid cooling on the cable before they came up with the one they have now. So they tested a few and then took them away, and then Did that cycle a couple times, various stations around the country before they settled on the version 3 cable they're using now. So I guess we'll see what happens on that.
I mean, I guess the good news is electrically everything seems to work, although some vehicles can't charge as quickly as you might think.
Yeah, and I found out why too.
Yeah, it's the voltage architecture and the way they
voltage. If you have an 800 volt a car, it won't charge. The Tesla runs at 450 or so, and so it won't charge your battery. You have to go through an onboard DC-DC converter.
Yep, and then that becomes the bottleneck, whatever the level of DC-DC converter the car has. So if it has a 25 kilowatt DC to DC converter, then you're getting 25 kilowatts.
Oh, wow.
I think the smallest one I heard was 50.
I've heard 50, but there was a model, I think, that had 25. I don't remember
goodness.
what it was.
Why bother?
I wonder what the efficiency loss would be on that. Typically, DC to DC conversion, going from that such high voltage with that much of a voltage difference, sounds like that could result in pretty big.
You have 3 conversions. First, you have to convert to AC. Then you have to up the voltage on the AC to above 1,000 volts or whatever, and then you have to convert it back to DC. So each one of those conversions are going to be 90% or so. So when you get done, you've lost 30%, and so you got to have a large heat sink somewhere for all that.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We've got to come up with something better. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
This is the evolution.
Must be why they're going to the 1,000 volt. That's a lot of voltage.
Less copper that way.
Oh, speaking of which, any of you that watched the Investor Day, did you catch that Tesla's going to go to everything is 48 volts in the car? The small battery will be 48 volts. That'll reduce the weight of copper in the Tesla by maybe 120 pounds.
Wow.
So, and they're going to force the industry, the engineering departments in auto companies have been wanting to go to 48 volts for 30 years. And their financial guy says, no, then we'd have to pay for all our third party, the builders, the component builders,
suppliers, all that.
Yeah, all those suppliers, we'd have to pay to switch them. So we're not doing it. And Tesla says, well, it's all internal, so we're just doing it. And what it does, it reduces the gauge of the wire by 75%. So it just you leave all that copper in the ground, and just less copper move up and down every hill in West Virginia. It's an amazing savings. Less copper they have to buy.
We need to save all that copper so we can build 3 and 4 different charging networks for all the different brands. It sounds.
Marty, I think you were right. I must have misremembered that from the video I watched. I think it looks like 50 kilowatt is the slowest DC to DC converter, and that's on the Lucid.
Oh, that must be miserable.
Yeah, and also the Taycan. I guess some Taycans are limited to 50, but I think there's an optional booster you can buy when you order the car. So if you ordered the booster on the car, then it's like 150. But if you didn't, then the Taycan's limited to 50 also.
Well, that means you'd have to understand what the significance of that.
If you're planning on using a Tesla supercharger, the current ones anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what else is going on out there in EV world?
Well, Rick and I both looked
Tesla folks. So, I mean, anything else we want to share? I know we don't want to monopolize all the Tesla talk here.
Well, Rick and I both looked at the Toyota BZ4X.
Yeah.
Where'd that name come from?
Sounds like when you create like a complex password and it suggests one and it gives you just a bunch of letters and numbers.
Yeah. But it's a pretty car. but you know, it only has CCS charging, and it can't be very efficient because it only has 340-mile range or something like that.
No, it only has 200 and.
I'm sorry, 240 mile, 238.
Oh, I think that's on the other two-wheel drive model.
Yeah, it's a SUV type vehicle, about the size of a RAV4, maybe a little bit smaller.
It competes with the Model Y.
Marty was saying that this is just a compliance car, and they're not planning to sell very many of them, but they just get their fleet average down so they can still sell their gas cars.
In California, you have to sell so many electric cars.
Oh, I was trying to present something here. Hold on, there it is. Actually, I'm doing that 6-week class at Shepherd, and so I just did the 3rd session, so we're halfway through the 6-week class. So they're hour-and-a-half sessions, and then this past week we were talking about some things, and the BZ4X came up, and I actually had the figures, so you can see the size of the batteries of these competitors, like from the Mustang Mach-E down to the Toyota, and then their range. These are all-wheel drive models. And then, you know, miles per kilowatt hour for efficiency, EPA, and their weights. And so you can see how heavy the Mustang is, which really isn't that unexpected given the size of its battery. But yeah, the range on that Toyota just is not that competitive. Its efficiency is not that great.
If you look at it, there are very few aerodynamic hints at the body. They're a little bit around the front. They have those scoops like the Model 3 does with you know, to let the air pass around the side of the car. But you didn't see a lot of efficiency hints from it.
Yeah, there you go. There's a picture of one.
See the little scoop there in front of the wheel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It did have a camera about below the headlights, though. I was Rick and I talked about that a little bit. Maybe that's for the in lieu of ultrasonics or something, or to booster the ultrasonics. I'm not quite sure, but that was kind of.
Is an extra camera in addition to a windshield one?
There are 2 cameras in the windshield behind the rearview mirror. One was a wide range, wide angle camera, and one was just narrowly focused, straight ahead.
Well, usually if you've got a camera right there on the front bumper area, it's for that 360-degree surround view.
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Where did you and Rick see it, Marty?
Well, my sister happened to be buying a car from that dealer that day. She's a minister. She lives in New Haven, where she lives in a house that has no exterior plugs. She could never have an electric car there until we get plugs everywhere. And her best friend from high school's son worked as a salesman at that dealership. So she bought a car from him. And I went down there to help her with the financing. I brought her a check. And
I've seen a
met her
couple
there,
of
and I posted it while I was waiting for her to show up because she's always late. I was waiting her to show up. I posted that on Facebook, and Rick saw it and ran down there and missed me by like 5 minutes.
Up here, I've seen a couple of those, and I've also seen the Subaru version, because Subaru has a rebadged version of the same vehicle called the Solterra. I've also seen more Kia EV6s up here. I'm starting to see, I've seen several of those more recently.
I've been seeing a lot of those lately.
Yeah.
I've seen some more some more Teslas here in Ripley, and also it looks like they're doing a little bit of activity on the site of where I think the Tesla supercharger is supposed to be going.
You know, I stopped in there one day and bought a Coke and asked the manager on duty about the and she told me she never heard anything about it, Tesla coming in.
Yeah.
So that was about a month ago.
Well, Weston's back up and running, and I got a chance to try out the new Flatwood supercharger. And it was, I don't like the parking at that one, actually. It's strange. It's different than others.
I saw John trying to chime in, but he's muted.
Who's that?
John was
John.
lips like he was talking, but his mute button is not on, but I can't hear anything.
Go ahead, try, John. No, we're not hearing you.
Don't hear you. Well, hold up a sign.
With a magic marker, right fast.
We having some PC problems. He's not muted in Google, so it must be on the computer end.
It was like me. He's got two microphones. I've got one in the camera and also a Philips speech mic that I use for my Dragon Naturally Speaking. And sometimes for reasons I have no idea why, it switches which camera it wants to, microphone it wants to use, and then I have to go back in and switch it back.
Right. You have to choose the microphone. Yeah, I have to do that too.
So my next trip, if anyone's interested, is going to be to Canada. Marcia and I in May are going to Canada to go look at birds.
What parts?
We're going to a place called Point. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, it's near Detroit, just near Sarnia. It's on the north side of Lake Ontario. So these birds come all the way from South America, and some of them land on an Ohio side, and some of them land. There's Indiana side, and some of them land on the Ontario side of Lake Ontario. And so we're going to hit them both places. I think the little birds could fly on across the lake, and the bigger birds hit the marshes on Lake Ontario on the U.S. side. So we're going to do one day on each side.
Sounds like a nice trip.
Yep, sounds like fun.
So it'll be the first time our car has gone outside the United States.
I would. I've been wanting to take a trip. I've been wanting to take the kids to Niagara Falls, and kind of wanting to take the Tesla on that just to see how it goes. Which not like we haven't already taken it to Florida, but yeah.
So it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, interstate driving up that way.
Yeah, I've looked at it on PlugShare, and it actually seems real easy. Seems like a real easy trip to navigate.
And pretty much every electron you'll charge in Niagara Falls will be renewable hydropower.
That's right.
Yeah, hydropower. Yep.
And we also noticed when we were up in eastern Canada, we didn't have the Tesla, but Quebec is nearly, I want to say 85 to 90% hydropower with all their dams and on the St. Lawrence Seaway and further north.
I don't know if you guys saw this announcement. I know we've been expecting this larger SUV from Kia.
Oh, I wonder what their V to G capabilities are. Does that mean it's going to feed back through the plug, or does it have like a 240 volt receptacle in the back that you plug in
Yeah, I guess we're going to need some more information on that. And actually, I think when they say that, I think they actually mean vehicle to load.
Okay.
They're just not being very specific. But looks like it's got pretty good range, and for its size especially.
So it was pretty kind of interesting. Somebody asked a question that Musk addressed during that investor day they asked him, when's Tesla going to go to provide vehicle to grid or vehicle to load? And he said, we're not. So that's a dumb idea, because if you need to go somewhere, you'll have to turn off your refrigerator when the power's out. Well, what does he care about that if the customers want it? You know, but that's kind of, I think he actually has an ulterior motive that
he wants to sell power walls.
Buy a power wall.
If you have a power wall, it's always available, and your vehicle is conditionally available.
Right.
I mean, I there's a little bit to what he says. I mean, if you're saying vehicle to grid and you want to like use your vehicle to supply power back to the grid, I mean, that's a little different than I want emergency power when the power's out and I want to use my vehicle to provide it. And that'll be intermittently. So two different things, but you know, we want the vehicle to be, for the vehicle to have that capability. Hey, John, we heard you.
Oh, you heard me. All right. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I just had something to add. I don't know if anybody besides me has seen all the Rivians come through West Virginia, but I've seen 3 truckloads of them come through on I-64 going east.
Well, I passed them on the turnpike.
Yeah. Heading east, heading to Richmond or Charlotte or somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, not Charlotte, Charlottesville, somewhere out that way.
I haven't seen them myself, but yeah, sounds like they're all heading out 64 over that way. Somebody up here, Steve, I think John said he saw a Rivian somebody had over in one of the subdivisions over in Shepherdstown. I don't know if it was a visitor or someone who lived there, but
Probably at Fernbank, huh?
yeah, probably.
I had something stupid happen to me today, which is due to my stupidity, but it was based on the fact that the Bolt has collapsible tires, self-seal tires with a big red jelly inside it. And all you take with you is a pair of pliers to pull the nail out and then an inflator. So when I bought the Hyundai, he shows me in the back, here's the inflator kit. So since we're taking off for Annapolis on Thursday, I said, well, I'm going to make sure my tires are up at 34, which is recommended. I grab out this inflator kit. Well, it's got a little canister on it, and I thought that was like an air thing on a pump, on your sump pump or your well pump, and it just evened out so the little fast piston could go quickly, and then you put it in the tire. No. It's a liquid latex that you inject into the tire. Well, I didn't know that. I saw the pressure going up to 90. I said, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. So I started unscrewing the tire, and this liquid latex is just going all over me, the car, the door. There's a puddle 3 feet wide. So I covered it up in a towel, and then it smelled, but it didn't look like it didn't burn. So I started washing it up as quick as I could. And then I contacted the guy at Hyundai, and I said, you know, what is this? What I do? He said, that's only to be used with when you have a flat tire. And not to pump up your regular tires. Go to a gas station or get a bicycle pump. So he said, and it's a single-use item. And I said, you mean like the little tank? No, the whole thing, you have to throw it away. Well, he was wrong. It's just a little canister of the latex, and the tube running from that canister to the tire is throwaway. But to replace those is going to cost $103.
Wow.
And because it's a 630 mil solution because of the size of my tire, you can get them online for $50 or $60, but there's only 200 to 300 cc's, which wouldn't be enough to fill a tire my size. So if I want to have the usual size that I replace the one that I had, it's going to cost me $103.
You can buy cans of that
I would
stuff.
say a can of Fix-A-Flat.
Well, yeah, and I may do that. Just put a can of Fix-A-Flat in there. It supposedly doesn't work as well, but and then this also will Fix-A-Flat fill a 20-inch tire, or we'll just maybe you can hobble with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all meant to be a temporary solution until you can get it somewhere to be patched.
Oh,
But anyway, my stupidity.
you won't make any friends at the tire shop. They hate those things.
Oh yeah, yeah. They hated my
Clean
bolt.
that latex out. It's a horrible job to clean that latex out of your tire. I did it one time, and the guy said, "Don't ever come back here."
I would imagine it would clog up your valve too.
Well, it wouldn't leak.
Well, I'm getting my old Bolt tire inflator, and I'm going to inflate. Make sure my tires are 34.
Hey, speaking of solar panels, Taylor, did you see where Q-Cell is going to build a 5 gigawatt factory in Cartersville, Georgia?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that I believe they're working on an adjacent factory to make their back sheets as well.
Would be the first time the back sheets are made in the United States.
Yeah. So they're getting things, more and more components made in America. So that's exciting.
Yeah, my late cousin lived in Cartersville for several years, and it was a very interesting little town there. Sherman fought some battles there, and there's a Western art museum there that's really, really good. It's one of the best ones I've ever seen, and it's all of Western and Native American art. And what it's doing in Cartersville is kind of hard to explain.
Did anybody see this? I've always thought this was cool. I thought if you had a fully electric RV and you could kind of just, it's not going to be a long distance all in one day kind of thing. But if you just wanted to travel around and, charge and then keep going, all electric, I'd love to have a way to put some type of solar, pull out canopy or something on it so you could actually just charge off the grid completely. If it took 2 or 3 days, if you're not in a hurry, then, just hang around, let it charge.
You see what its range is?
I did not see what the range is. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not great.
102 miles.
Yeah.
So
we'll need to get a little better.
Almost every RV has solar on top of it these days.
Mm-hmm.
But because
That's just to run your coffee pot with.
Yeah, coffee pot, air conditioning, oven, microwave. Yeah. Friend of mine, he went from lead acid batteries to lithium, and he reduced the weight he was carrying by like 600 pounds.
Oh, because the energy density of the lithium compared to the lead acid.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question, again, out of my dumbness. When I got my Bolt, I stopped at several KOA campgrounds and RV places, and I said, if I'm really in trouble, and I'm carrying my EVSE, can I plug in here? And they all said, yeah, so just come on in. No, you don't even have to pay us for $5 worth of electricity. It's a gift. When I looked at the number of NEMA 1450 plugs out there dwarfs the number of EV charging stations. So does this Winnebago, does it have the EVSE built inside, not just the onboard charging module, but the EVSE and then just a plug, and you plug it into the RV park plug?
They don't have a commercial product yet. It's just a prototype that they've been showing, so there's no final details on how it will work or what they'll offer.
100 miles may be all you need, because go to another one and stay a night.
Yeah, it depends on how you're traveling. If you just want to be traveling slow and take your time and hang around an area for a while, maybe 100. It says 108 miles for this prototype.
Because we have friends that are RVers, I've seen people come in and spread out 4 or 5 solar panels on the ground around their RV. And so they're using a lot of solar power, but it's not for motive. It's for cooking and stuff like that. But they said it's very nice not to have that generator kick on in the middle of the night and wake you up and wake all the neighbors up to have bigger batteries.
So it'll be an interesting area for development. I mean, you got to start somewhere. So if it's 108 miles on the first generation, you know, it's kind of like the first generation Leaf. You start low and build up from there.
You were talking about reducing weight going from lead acid. I have that Ryobi riding mower. It had 240 pounds worth of lead acid batteries in it. And I put in 4 lithium iron phosphate batteries, and the total weight of those is 72 pounds. So I'm saving,
160
pounds. I don't know what it is, something, but it's pretty significant. And plus, I mow most of my yard, and it only takes 25% of my battery.
Mm-hmm.
And I put in 60 amp hour as opposed to 75 lead acid.
And you're rather than being stuck at the 50% depth of discharge, your lithium iron phosphates, you know, you can obviously run them much lower.
Yeah, and there's good constant power for, you know, it's more power so it doesn't bog down and that sort of thing.
Were you able to find batteries that were a direct replacement? Did you have to do anything with the charging system? I'm guessing not. Right?
No, I monitored charge the charger that comes with it. If you're charging lead acid, the voltage comes up slow, and it'll charge to a pretty high voltage. But with the lithium iron phosphate, once they get fully charged, the rate of charge climbs fast, and the battery charger shuts off earlier. So it's an ideal situation on it there. And they were the exact size. And I saw a video online where somebody did this conversion. So I paid a little extra. My conversion cost me about $1,900, but I got something that'll probably outlast me. Where those lead acids are just not very reliable, not going to last long, can't use very much capacity of them. I haven't used it. I've only mowed a couple of times, but it's really been, and I replaced a meter on it. So this meter, I tell it that I've got a 60 amp hour battery. And so it'll give me either the voltage or percent charge. So as it discharges, you see the actual capacity left, and then when you're charging it up, that charge level comes right back on it with the meter.
Thanks.
Marty, have you talked to Chip lately?
You're muted, Marty. Muted, I think.
I have not talked to Chip, and we haven't seen any new applications recently. I did hear that Richwood got some plugs, but I don't know if they got them from Chip or not. They didn't go through we didn't see the application, I don't think. But you know, with Nevi coming along, the need for Chip to do anything, I think, has diminished. I did stop by the plugs that Chip paid for in Fayetteville, and in about a month they'd only dispense 250 kWh. So that's not very much.
How much of the Nevi money is going to doing AC level 2 destination overnight chargers? Is there very much, or 90% is going to fast chargers, right? Or is it half and half? I don't know. I haven't read.
So the last years, it's going to be a lot of destination charging. I mean, in West Virginia, it'd be at least 100 in different places. So,
but that's in the out years.
That's in the out years, and they may depend on who gets elected and all that stuff. You know, 5-year programs usually last 4 or less.
Our fire chief decided he didn't want an electric plug on the fire station. They didn't want people hanging around there in the middle of the night and weren't sure we'd make any, be able to break even on our money or things like that with donations. So anyway, it got rejected.
Well, that's too bad.
I mentioned it to Shepard. They have those 2 charge point chargers that are defunct on one of their parking lots on the main campus. And so the chargers are still there, but they're not operational. And so people show up, try to use them, and of course they don't work. So I mentioned to them when I was talking to some of the people over there when I'm doing my classes, we could probably get donated equipment if you could find a way, to operate them and sustain them, maintain them. So anyway, I put the idea out there. We'll see if they do anything with it.
I've charged using those.
Yeah, in the past, but they're no longer functional.
Well, years ago when my daughter went to school there, what I noticed was there was usually a Prius plug-in hybrid there plugged all day, and obviously it only takes 10 minutes to charge it. So,
well, I have to tell you, if it's that Prius blue, that's not a plug-in Prius. That guy's just parking there because it says free parking for EVs. He's not a plug-in. He's a 4-year-old Prius.
No, there was a pickup truck or something parked there, but there was a Prius plugged in.
Oh, okay. Well, the one I see when I walk my dog by there is not a plug-in.
It's not a
guy's just parking there, and he hasn't gotten a ticket yet. Now, about when I first got here and started teaching it at the Lifelong Learning Program, and I guess it was 2019. Those chargers were still working, but then they stopped working after the Christmas holidays. And so I asked Karen about it at the time, and she said, "Oh, the grant ran out, and it was never renewed, and the university just forgot about it and went on." So those things are still sitting there, probably still plugged into no power. They probably just pulled power on it because the grant was supposed to pay for the maintenance and the power. So since they ran out of the grant, they just plug up.
The good thing is they've got the infrastructure there. I mean, they've already got the
in fact, those old things probably still work. Not very well, but they probably still work.
Well, I told them, you just need to put up some parking meters and charge, $1 an hour or whatever for parking. And then that's the way they can recoup their money, and then have campus security ticket people like ICE that are parked there that shouldn't be, ticket them. And if you're not charging, ticket you. Heck, they can probably make some money on tickets.
Wasn't there a talk show host in the Eastern Panhandle that was telling people to just pull that plug out and stick it under your grill and keep those electric cars from charging?
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah,
that's
I think
news to me.
That was Rush Limbaugh, the late, great Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, was that Rush did that?
Yes, I heard him say it one time while he was still gracing us with his existence. It was Rush that suggested, people that they, or disconnect people who were plugging, just disconnect people who were, using one of those things. So when I got my Prius Prime, I was sure to see there was a lock. They couldn't pull the thing out of my car. And I said that was a Rush Limbaugh, might have been a Rush Limbaugh inspired feature of my Prius Prime.
Okay. Well, I would hope that if some of those ICE cars did put the plug in under their grill, that they forgot it was there and they pulled out and pulled part of their grill off their car. That would serve them right.
Hey, Thornton, I got a serious question. Last year, Emmett Pepper told me that Virginia had passed a tariff to give low cost off-peak charging to EVs. And that was through AEP. Is that going to come to West Virginia as well? Any way you could find out if that tariff is working its way through the?
You sent me an email on that a year or two ago. So you want to know if they're doing anything in West Virginia?
Yeah. I sent it to you last year.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, I started. I had a problem with Appalachian Power. They started billing me again as if I hadn't. I didn't have all this credit, and I called them up. I haven't even opened up my last two Appalachian bills, but I'm only supposed to be paying $12 or $13 a month, which is the minimum charge. And I talked to their person who's supposed to know something about solar panels, and she said she agreed with me. And I thought, well, I'm going to wait till after the legislature's out of session. Then I'm going to open my bills, so I might do that in the next week or so, and see if they've credited me all the, I mean, they goofed up. They were saying I owed them money, and they owed me several $100s because I overpaid them just so I didn't have to write a check every month. So I don't even like to think about Appalachian Power or the Public Service Commission where I used to work. I'm so embarrassed every time I read the newspaper about how this state is getting more and more subservient to people who want to burn element number 6.
Okay, I thought you might still have an in with them.
I can ask somebody over there.
If you would, that'd be nice.
But you can look it up. You can look at the tariffs. It's just that their Appalachian Power tariff is very, very long.
Oh,
when I noticed my bill had been screwed up because I want to make sure the latest rate case in 2022 that they had continued to have the bit for houses like mine where we're generating electricity with solar panels.
Well,
and for those while we're talking about it, I spent a half an hour on the phone yesterday with my friend Doyle Tenney, whose company DT Solar installed my 24 solar panels back in 2019, and he's gotten kind of specialized. He just likes to do certain types of installations. He used to do one type, and now he just has a particular things. And he's gotten really frustrated because he can't find anybody that works for him that doesn't screw up. So he basically is doing a lot of stuff just by himself.
Yeah, he's moved on to doing like hybrid jobs with the Solarks. I know he says he does a lot of those.
With what?
The Solarks. It's a type of inverter. It's a really popular battery inverter.
Oh,
it's like they do a lot of off-grid stuff, right? Off-grid, like inverters and batteries and things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're extremely capable. I mean, they can do like grid peak shaving and just all kinds of things. But yeah, they're I'd say they're absolutely the best off-grid or hybrid inverter that there is right now. So.
Well, the work he did on my house was great. And the reason I called him up was we had a very strong winds in South Charleston, blew a bunch of trees down, and it had blown a piece of the standing seam metal roof I'd had him installed below the solar panels. And I called him up about that, and we just talked for about a half an hour. He just got overwhelmed. He just had so many customers, and but he had a lot of trouble finding anybody. He thought he would tell them how to do it, and they'd still mess up. The aggravation was just too much for him, and so he's gotten very specialized, and he's going to probably do fewer of those things, and maybe do some stuff that's more like semi-retirement. So anyway, he's quite an interesting person. He's extremely competent, in solar panels, and I really appreciate what he's done for the state.
So Thornton, what I'm curious about, if there's any pending tariffs for that might come before the Public Service Commission that we might have a chance to comment on. That I can pull up the existing tariffs and look at them, but are there any pending tariffs that?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, you can go on the active cases of the Public Service Commission. They're online. You can go right through all the pending rate cases Appalachian Power filed. I mean, it's all. I mean, I can walk you through it, but it's all online. Everything they do, unless it's something being secretive that they're trying to. There's something which wouldn't apply to this discussion. It's all online. 100% online. So you just go to their website and you can look at all the cases filed by Appalachian Power. And
all righty.
Does that help you, Annie?
This much?
I'll try to follow up on that, Marty.
All right, we're a couple minutes till 8, so any last-minute words from anyone?
Well, I'm sorry I didn't make the thing Saturday, Rick. My apologies.
Marty, you left both your inflators there. You were going to leave one, and
yeah, I forgot to get one, didn't I?
I took one. I was ready to give it to you there. I thought I might mention my charge experience there at the Supercharger in Charleston. Coming back in town Friday about noon, the one stall was out of commission, so there were 7, and there was 5 and 6 vehicles there, and people, as soon as 1 or 2 people leave, it'd be 1 or 2 more come back in, and it was just kind of amazing to see the activity at that Supercharger. We're not too far from having lines, I think.
Well, we need that Marmette one pretty badly. I can tell you that every time I've driven either to Fayetteville or to Jackson County, that they've been busy. That there's been cars, there's been Teslas going the other way. So the roads are getting crowded with Teslas, that's for sure.
I wanted to share I saw a new high charging rate in my Model 3, 256 kilowatts.
Wow.
Very good.
New high score.
Yeah, new high score.
Yeah. I'd like to mention people that there's a good op-ed on page 4 of today's Gazette Mail called "The Choice and Burden of Energy in West Virginia," and it talks about how storage is getting at times to be supporting the coal industry. Just read the article. It's a very interesting article by Perry Bryant. Bottom of page 4.
Okay.
Today's Gazette. And it mentions your favorite, Thornton, the first line about the Public Service Commission and Charlotte Lane's op-ed. Essentially, he's responding to it. So,
well, somebody's got their hand raised here.
That was me.
Oh,
I'll turn it off.
Just one other bit of news from the expo. Marty, has Kelly told you that she's planning to retire at the end of this year?
No, she hasn't.
That's her plan, is to retire at the end of this year. And I met her replacement, her successor, Garrett Weaver.
I've met Garrett.
You've met Garrett? Okay. Well, he is going to be taking over as Kelly transitions out, and I'm sure she's looking forward to retirement.
What's his background?
I know he has a lot of interest and enthusiasm. I don't know that he had. We didn't actually talk a lot about. I didn't have a lot of time to talk to him after the session about his actual background, but I know he's been working with the Office of Energy for a little while.
Okay.
I hope to see you all at Deed. Drive Electric Earth Day at Marshall coming up in 2 weeks and 1 day.
How's the attendance looking, Rick? Do you have pretty good turnout?
I have nobody. Well, Larry's told me he's going to make it there, and I haven't had really anybody else say they're going to bring their EV.
I'm coming.
Yeah, but outside of this group, nobody.
Oh, yeah.
What happened to our Tycon guy?
I thought he didn't have it anymore.
Oh,
I thought I heard that, but we may get a Toyota there if that doesn't sell in the next 10 days. And I hope.
What about was Marcy able to come? You might reach out to Marcy and see if she might be available, because if we could get an EV6 there, that'd be cool. Or it was Scott that she worked with. I think he also got an EV6.
Yeah, and it may be, but Marcy said yes too. But outside of the big group, we didn't have any new vehicles.
Oh, new. Okay.
It would be nice if we could get that Rivian guy to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember what
if you can get a truck, if you can get an EV truck there, that will definitely turn some heads.
Yeah. Would you remember what his name was, Robert?
The Rivian guy, the one you sent me.
Yeah.
Didn't respond, or we had the wrong address or something. I forget his name.
Oh, that was the Lucid guy.
Oh, that was the Lucid. Okay.
Yeah.
I had three quick things. One, I think there's an Earth Day. I think it's 22nd Earth Day, 22nd of April. That's at Pipestem Folklife Center. I think Justin will probably be there from Car Edge. Does anybody see the Car Edge that used to be YAA? But he has an Ionic 5. But I'll be going to that one.
Okay, great.
Down in Mercer. It's in Summers County near Pipestem.
Would you post that?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Any of these events, let's definitely publicize them on the group.
Okay. Another thing is the renewables just outstrip coal as far as producing electricity. They're 1 point above coal. You saw that? And the third thing, there's a site. We started another YouTube channel called the Electric Homestead, and so far the only post is Taylor's install at our house. So if anybody wants to go to YouTube, check out Electric Homestead, and you'll see Taylor's whole install.
A very fantastic video, and I thank you, John, very much for putting in the effort to bringing all that stuff together. It's really nice.
Just took 2 years. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check that out.
Two things I have is that building on what John said, coal's at 20%, and they're predicting it'll be 17% by the end of this year with plant retirements. And then I'm visiting the Cincinnati Auto Show Thursday evening this week on the anyway, and hope to see lots of EVs and talk to people and talk to the friend from the Dayton Auto Club EV Club.
Oh yeah, Rap,
Yeah.
Hankins. Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
So I'll try to report back on that, maybe something next month or maybe before then, depending on what I find out.
And up here, as part of my class, I'm trying to do an event on April 15th in the morning. That's a Saturday, 9 to 11 on the Shepherd campus. I've got tentative approval for that. Karen gave me it okay, so I'm going to move forward with it. So yeah, we're going to be doing an event up here as well on April 15th. So we've got several events going on. So if you've got an event coming up, definitely throw it out there on the listserv. And if you let me know, I'll also put it on our website under the events page if it's open to the public.
All right, tally ho.
All right, folks. Appreciate
Sounds
it.
good.
Everyone have a great evening.
Great
Yes.
call.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks.